Whenever you are feeling hopeless, don't stay within yourself. Reach out to a priest. And Jesus will give that priest the grace to bring you comfort. Always remember, sometimes hope is a virtue that has to be lived in the darkness. But in this holy year of hope, we believe strongly there will be light.
Day 28. Our gospel today is taken from John. Nicodemus, who had gone to Jesus earlier and who was one of their own number, asked, "Does our law condemn a man without first hearing him to find out what he has been doing?" They replied, "Are you from Galilee too? Look into it, and you will find that a prophet does not come out of Galilee."
If it's one thing that gives the priests great hope in this holy year of hope, it's meeting hopeless people sometimes, people for whom you have no real answers. And I met such a one toward the end of last year from the Feast Timon. His name? Coco. Brother Bo's sister gave me a call and said, he really would love you to call him. He watches you on Facebook, and he would love to have you give him a call. He's kind of been in depression in the last couple of weeks because he just received the diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. And not only pancreatic cancer, but fourth stage pancreatic cancer, which is extremely painful. And there is very little hope with that diagnosis. Would I give him a call? And I said, no, I won't. I said, I want to meet him. He's going into the hospital tomorrow. He will have chemotherapy. So I visited him in the hospital, and I sat and we talked. And the first great thing that gave him some hope is not anything I could do, but that Jesus could do within him. And that was to give him not the last rites, but the sacrament of the sick. And so I anointed him, laid hands on him. And at the end of that, then I heard his confession. It was a beautiful confession. And what I wanted to give him was a sense of hope that the past was completely forgotten, forgiven. It doesn't exist anymore. Padre Pio, for example, has told us that once we receive absolution, not to worry about those sins, not to look back at them. He said any temptation to do that is not coming from God. It's coming from Satan, who wishes to discourage us. And so he was peaceful. I told him, now you're just as you were at your baptism, totally innocent. But I said, I have a mission for you. A mission for me? I said, yes. You had a mission at the feast. You were one of the workers at the feast, organizing. I said, but now your mission is different. And your mission is not to waste your pain. And he said, what? Don't waste your pain. When you're feeling the pain the most, cry out. And like Jesus, say, why? Why this cancer? But then I said, Coco, there's a second question you asked Jesus. Where? Where do you want to take me with this? And I says, where Jesus wants to take you is to prayer for all those in the Feast Timon, all those you work with at your plant every day, all those you see who come to you and are offering some sort of consolation. And then say to them, when you leave the room today, I'm going to pray for you. And you'll shock them. I said the same thing with your doctor, when the nurses, when they come in to see you, they'll say, how are you? You say, I'm in a lot of pain. But when you leave my room, I will unite that pain with Jesus and I will pray for you. You will stun them. And he did. He got out of the hospital and we celebrated his birthday, and there were about 25 people there from the feast and his relatives. And I remember well, I gave him again the sacrament of the sick, not the last rites. There was always the hope and the chance that there would be a physical healing. And so I laid the hands, and then I asked everybody there to come and lay hands on his head. And at the end of it, I said, "Coco, did you sense anything?" He said, "Yes. Deep peace." Oh, well, it was about a month before Christmas, and he wasn't doing very well. And AJ, his girlfriend, said, "He really needs to see you, Father." So I went to his house. It was obvious he was in a lot of pain. And I said, "Leave him alone with me for a while." And so everybody went out of the room, and I said, "Coco, do you have any fears?" He says, "Yes." "What is your fear?" "My fear is dying." He said, "I want so much to be healed." I said, "Okay. Surrender it to Jesus. If he wants you here for Christmas, if he wants you here for many months and years to come, you'll be physically healed. If he doesn't, say to Jesus, "It's up to you. Heal me or take me home." In other words, he needed a miracle. And I remember very well saying goodbye to him. I took his hand and put it to my forehead. And he said to me words I will never forget, yet they are so simple. "I love you, Father Bob." He died the next day. And some would say, well, he didn't get the miracle. Yes, he did. He got the miracle for which Jesus did every miracle. That miracle is that we have a Father, Abba, Daddy God in heaven. Jesus took him there. He had a plenary indulgence, so all his sins were forgiven. And as soon as his heart stopped, his guardian angel took him to heaven. Whenever you are feeling hopeless, don't stay within yourself. Reach out to a priest. And Jesus will give that priest the grace to bring you comfort. Always remember, sometimes hope is a virtue that has to be lived in the darkness. But in this holy year of hope, we believe strongly there will be light.
Father in heaven, in this highly divisive world that is veering away from you, grant me the grace to stand firm by your side. Help me to listen well to those around me and to treat all suggestions with the dignity that they deserve. Amen. For you to unite others, you must first be strongly united within yourself. And if you cannot unite others, unite with God, who shall unite everyone else. The feast is global. Discover a community near you at feast.ph.